deal that reshaped the Middle East, a renewed hope for cooperation. Full of promise and roadblocks, as Trump eyes the next phase, the Abraham Accords 5 years on.
Welcome to this latest episode of Explained by NewsX, and tonight we discuss the Abraham Accords. 75 years of the Israel-Palestine conflict have seen some efforts to promote peace and reconciliation. The 1993 and 1995 Oslo Accords were short-lived with the start of the Second Intifada. Hamas's coming to power in 2006 had signaled at things worsening. Donald Trump took oath as the 45th President of the United States in January 2017. After his inauguration, Trump promised to look at the world's challenges with open and fresh thinking. He immediately put solving the Israel-Palestine conflict as a top priority. His first big move did not achieve the goal. Less than a year after taking office, the United States of America officially recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. This wasn't taken well by the Arab world. Saudi Arabia called it a flagrant provocation to Muslims. Jordanian government said Trump violated the international law and the UN Charter. Saudi Arabia and Egypt too expressed strong concerns. This one-stop solution was clearly not going to work. 3 years later, after several rounds of discussions and negotiations, the Abraham Accords was signed to establish a diplomatic normalization between Israel and several Arab states. Present in the signing ceremony and on your screens are the Bahraini Foreign Minister, the Israeli Prime Minister, US President and the UAE Foreign Minister. With the signing of the accords, the UAE and Bahrain became the first Arab countries to formally recognize Israel since Jordan in 1994. In 1948 and 1949, let's take you back to history. Israel fought the War of Independence. On the 29th of November 1947, United Nations voted to partition the British Mandate of Palestine into a Jewish state and an Arab state. When the British forces withdrew on the 15th of May 1948, Israel declared independence, and that's when the fighting began. Egypt launched an aerial assault on Tel Aviv, later joined by Jordan, Iraq, Syria and Lebanon, who occupied the areas in southern and eastern Palestine. Several separate arms justice agreements in 1949 between Israel and the Arab states led to a temporary frontier. The next war was fought in 1956 when tensions mounted again with the rise to power of Egyptian President Jamal Abdel Nasser, a staunch pan-Arab nationalist. In 1956, Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal, a vital waterway connecting Europe and Asia that was largely owned by the French and British. In October 1956, Israel invaded Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. In 5 days, the Israel Defense Forces captured Gaza and Rafah, taking thousands of prisoners. After a joint Anglo-French intervention, a UN emergency force was stationed in the area. Israeli forces withdrew while Egypt dropped the blockade of Eilat. Next came the Six-Day War in 1967, started by Syrian bombing of Israeli villages in the Golan Heights. Israel answered this apparent Arab rush to war by staging a sudden air assault, destroying Egypt's air force on the ground. Israeli units drove back Syrian forces from the Golan Heights, took control of the Gaza Strip and the Sinai Peninsula from Egypt, and drove Jordanian forces from the West Bank. In 1973 came the Six-Day War, which developed into a full-scale tussle. Israel was caught off guard by the Egyptian forces crossing the Suez Canal and Syrian forces crossing the Golan Heights. The war started on Jewish holy day of the Yom Kippur, lasted through Ramzan. Eventually, it came to an end on the 26th of October with a formal ceasefire agreement between Israel and Egypt on the 11th of November 1974. The two Lebanon wars were fought in 1982 and 2006. It all started with tensions between Israel and Palestinians and resulted in the bombing of Beirut and southern Lebanon. This led to the formation of Hezbollah in 1982 as a militant group which continued to engage in a guerrilla campaign against Israeli forces until they withdrew fully in May 2000. The Second Lebanon War was fought between Israel and Hezbollah on the 12th of July 2006. Although several Arab leaders have criticized the Hezbollah for inciting the conflict. The preparations for the Abraham Accords began in 2019. The US government decided to deploy the strategic outside-in approach that involved leveraging shared economic and security interests to forge direct ties between Arab nations and Israel. The key figures involved in these talks between Israel and Arab nations were Jared Kushner and Special Envoy Avi Bertzkowitz. Kushner and Bertzkowitz engaged in extensive, quiet negotiations with leaders in Israel, the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain. Their efforts helped build confidence and advance the diplomatic process. In June 2019, Jared Kushner organized a workshop in Bahrain, inviting business and government leaders from the Middle East, including some Israelis. The workshop focused on the economic aspects of a potential peace agreement and served as a crucial step towards building relationships and trust. In June 2019, Jared Kushner organized the workshop in Bahrain, inviting businesses and government leaders from the Middle East, including some Israelis. The workshop focused, like I said, on economic aspects of a potential peace agreement and continued to serve as a crucial step towards building relationships and trust. As part of the agreement with Morocco, the US agreed to recognize Moroccan sovereignty over the Western Sahara. This diplomatic concession was a key component of the deal that helped secure Morocco's normalization with Israel. The accords involved other incentives, such as the US selling advanced technologies like the F-35 fighter jets to the United Arab Emirates. The promise of fresh trade opportunities was also significant. The February 2019 Warsaw Conference was proposed by the US with the intent to build a coalition against Iran. Due to West European states opposing withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal and resumption of economic sanctions against Iran, host Poland played down the anti-Iranian aspects of the two-day conference, and the closing Polish-US statement did not mention Iran at all. In 2020 January, Trump announced the Trump Peace Plan for the Middle East in a joint press conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The plan provided for a united Jerusalem as Israel's capital and Israeli sovereignty over the Jordan Valley and the principal Jewish settlements in the West Bank, amounting to annexation of roughly 30% of the territory. The 2025 Abraham Accords led to three key agreements. The Israel-Bahrain agreement signed between Netanyahu and King Hamad bin Salman Al Khalifa, which agreed to open an era of friendship and cooperation in pursuit of a Middle East region that is stable, secure, and prosperous. Secondly, the Israel-Morocco agreement signed between the Kingdom of Morocco, Israel, and the United States, with authorized direct flights between Morocco and Israel, amongst many other things. The most significant was probably the Israel-UAE agreement, however, which was signed between Netanyahu and Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, which aspired to realize the vision of a stable Middle East for the benefits of all states and people. The 7 key agreements mentioned in the Abraham Accords said, number 1, we, the undersigned, recognize the importance of maintaining and strengthening peace in the Middle East and around the world based on mutual understanding and coexistence, as well as respect for human dignity and freedom, including religious freedom. Number 2, we encourage efforts to promote interfaith and intercultural dialogue to advance a culture of peace amongst the 3 Abrahamic religions and all humanity. Number 3, we believe that the best way to address challenges is through cooperation and dialogue, and that developing friendly relations among states advances the interests of lasting peace in the Middle East and around the world. Number 4, we seek tolerance and respect for every person in order to make this world a place where all can enjoy a life of dignity and hope, no matter their race, faith, or ethnicity. Number 5, we support science, art, medicine, and commerce to inspire humankind, maximize human potential, and bring nations closer together. Number 6, we seek to end radicalization and conflict to provide all children a better future. Number 7, we pursue a vision of peace, security, and prosperity in the Middle East and around the world. And from this perspective, the Abraham Accords served a dual purpose of solidifying the U.S. role as regional security guarantor while bypassing the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. By presenting itself as a patron and guarantor of these accords, Washington also sought to counterbalance China's rising regional influence, particularly advanced technologies. The Joe Biden administration had endorsed and tried to carry over the accords, with Saudi Arabia emerging as the focus of its expanded normalization efforts. However, this process came to a standstill after the Hamas attacks of 7th October 2023, prompting Israel to invade Gaza. The Abraham Accords continue to be the United States' key negotiating point. Only last month, Donald Trump proposed the inclusion of Iran in the Abraham Accords after a peace deal was signed after Operation Rising Lion. The Israel-Hamas ceasefire could lead to talks restarting and the accords further expanding. With Donald Trump holding office for another 3 years at least, it remains to be seen whether these agreements can achieve what they have always aspired, a peaceful and forward-looking Middle East. With that, we slip into a break.
Deal that reshaped the Middle East, a renewed hope for cooperation. Full of promise and roadblocks, as Trump eyes the next phase, the Abraham Accords 5 years on.